So amidst the popularity of these like Jonathan Galindo blue whale videos, like I just wanted to put like sort of a personal story out there and sort of like talk about why you shouldn't exactly be scared of it and like how to avoid it and stay safe around it kind of thing, like in the form of a story that happened in my life. So this story takes place a good couple of years ago when I was still in high school, and at the time I was friends with this kid that I had met in school. We'll call him Philip. And Philip was a kid that I think I met him in my gym class, first things first, but I had a couple classes with him. And we kind of got along pretty well. Like he was like me. He was a quiet kid. He was into like video games and a bunch of nerdy shit, just like I was. So we got along quite well. And he was a really nice kid. Like it was nice being his friend. And like he and I like added each other on Discord, and we'd talk and stuff. But as I was in this year of high school, I knew that Philip, much like myself, was dealing with a lot of like stuff in his personal life, and unfortunately it's stuff like that sometimes makes people a little susceptible to things like this. And this year of high school that I was in, this was when the whole like the big C sickness, if you know what I mean, kind of hit the world. And so basically we weren't going to school for a while. We were kind of at home doing assignments, but not really because our grades were frozen. So naturally, I spent a lot of time on my laptop playing games, and that meant I had my Discord open, so I would talk to Philip fairly frequently. And I remember one day specifically we were talking about anime, because I remember I was talking about how I was excited for the Jujutsu Kaisen anime to come out, because at the time it hadn't quite come out, but they'd like announced it, I think. And I was talking about how I started rewatching Fairy Tail because screw it, I like Fairy Tail, it's entertaining. And he was recommending me like Seven Deadly Sins, which I've seen and thought it was all right. And he recommended Blood Blockade Battlefront, which I still have not seen, but this is not the point of the story. And our conversations kind of kept going. It became about this, that, and the other thing. You just like talk while you play games. We weren't even playing the same game. Like he was playing League, I think, and I was playing Overwatch because I don't really play League. Like people have tried to get me into League, but it's not really my thing. But again, I'm getting sidetracked here. I guess I'm really bad for that today. But he eventually steered the conversation to saying, like, hey, man, can I talk to you about something that's, like, kind of personal? Wanting to be a good friend, I said, like, yeah, of course, man. Like, what's going on? Like, I'm here to listen. And so he asked me, like, so have you heard of, like, this blue whale game or blue whale challenge that's been going around the internet? And as the resident internet dweller that I am and have been for many years now, I knew a lot about it. I knew a lot, and its presence being brought up in this conversation was immediately concerning. And so I told him, like, yeah, I've heard of that. Like, why do you bring that up? And so he started to tell me this story about how, like, I don't know, if any of you guys play video games online, you know how often this can happen. Like, sometimes you play games with people, like, you go on a voice chat on a party or even just a text chat, and, like, you stay playing with one person, like you don't know them, but like they kind of become your online friend. Like you don't meet them, but they become your friend online. Like in gaming communities, that happens a lot, especially in games like League, I've heard. So he was telling me a story about like he met someone on League. And he was telling me like he'd been playing a lot of games with this guy that he'd met on League over like a couple of days. Like they're pretty good friends. They'd play a lot. And it seemed like it was going pretty good. Like they added each other on Discord and stuff. They'd like send each other links to like memes and stuff. And now links are especially dangerous. I'm just going to point that out right now. If anyone you don't know is sending you links, I would personally not click them unless you know the person. But this story will dive more into that. So yeah, just stay tuned, I guess. He said he'd clicked all sorts of links, and usually they were to like YouTube or something like that. Just to like funny videos or like game videos about like something they were doing in the game or whatever it was. He said one day it took a turn for the worst, and he clicked a link that looked like a YouTube link, because that's the thing about links is they can be disguised as other links. That is possible, so be wary of that as well. So he clicked this link, and he said whatever it was trying to load into on the tab that he opened, it just wasn't really loading in, so he ended up just closing the tab. And he said that this guy he was talking to on League for the past couple days, he just went dark for like a whole 24 hours. And what ended up happening is when he finally got a message from this account again, everything about it was different. It was called Jonathan Galindo. It had that picture. You all know the picture. And it was sending messages saying like, I have your address. He sent like the general area of the address because you can do that with an IP. So that's probably what was sent to him, was an IP ripper or something along the lines of that. And it was basically telling him, like, you have to play this blue whale game or else I'm going to come find you. And, you know, it's really easy when you're not in these situations to say, like, oh, like, it's obviously not real. It's like there's no way they're going to actually come find you. They can't, like, pinpoint your exact location with an IP for the most part. But, I mean, I haven't been in this exact scenario with this whole, like, game thing here. But I have been in, like, I've been in enough scenarios to know that, like, if your mind is, like, down and you yourself are down, you're not really in a good place of mind. You kind of, like, fall for things, and, like, your brain's not, like, all there. Like, you're not dumb, but you just kind of not thinking, you know? Like, you're not stupid, but things happen, and you just kind of think, like, why would I do that? And then you get yourself into, like, these sorts of messes. Like, especially in scenarios like this, where it's, like, an account that's making these pretty direct threats, and it's got, like, a creepy image attached to it and stuff. Like, it does scare you. Like, I definitely understand that. Now, at the risk of this video getting probably not taken down, but demonetized if this channel ever goes monetized, that is, the Blue Whale game is basically I'm going to use my words carefully here just for the sake of the video, but it's a game where basically every day this bot will send you a new challenge that usually involves, like, self-harm or something bad in some way, and with these threats of, like, I know where you are and stuff, like, especially for younger kids and even, like, younger teenagers like we were at the time, it can be very influencing, and you can feel very pressured into feeling like you have to do it. That's pretty much what Philip was telling me about. He was saying, like, this bot keeps messaging him, he hasn't completed the challenge, and, like, it keeps threatening him, and he doesn't know what to do. And he told me, like, he wasn't feeling very safe, like, in his own house, and he didn't know what to do. And so I told him, like, okay, fair enough, like, I know these situations happen, I'm not gonna, like, call you dumb for being in this situation, like, things like this happen. So if you want to, like, get out of the house for a while and just relax, like, I'll meet you somewhere, we'll hang out, just, like, get your mind off it type thing. Now, obviously, I was trying to make the best of this situation, try and help out my friend. So, like I said, I've been an internet dweller for a very long time. I do a lot of research into a lot of different subjects just for entertainment. So I had figured out a lot about this whole game and this Jonathan Galindo character, which, for those of you who don't know, obviously Jonathan Galindo is not a real person. It's not a real thing. It's not some entity or a monster or even a guy that's going to come kill you. It's not a thing. Where it all started, that image, like, we all know the image if you've heard of this subject at all. Those images actually come from a cosplayer online. I think they're known as, like, Dusky Sam, I believe, is their username they go by on the internet, and they just did a lot of cosplays of basically a realistic version of, like, Disney characters. Like, Goofy is what this is supposed to look like. Like, we all know Goofy. He's, like, a dog, I think. I don't actually know what Goofy is, but, like, I know Goofy. Goofy's very near and dear to my heart because I love Kingdom Hearts and grew up on Disney and stuff like that. But, you know, it's just one of those things, right? Where someone was just trying to do something innocent, something creative, which, honestly, I gotta give them props. The prosthetics on that cosplay, very well done. And throughout this whole fiasco, like, Dusky Sam has come out with, like, tweets and comments saying, like, under no circumstances was anything he's done with these cosplays meant to terrorize or, like, scare people or anything like that. He's just doing something creative, which there is no problem with that. I'd, like, no problem at all, and it just, someone decided to take it the wrong way. The best way I can describe this is, like, I'm pretty sure a lot of us know the origin stories of, like, the game Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, Scott Cawthon made a game about, like, these beavers or woodchucks or whatever, and people made all sorts of comments that led him from that game to make Five Nights at Freddy's, that all, like, the character models looked creepy and looked like they were, like, creepy animatronics, and it's, like, something that's not supposed to be creepy, it just kind of is, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's not the intent, but it just ends up being that way. And sometimes that leads to good, like it did in the case of Scott Cawthon making Five Nights at Freddy's. But in this whole Jonathan Galindo scenario, it kind of went the other way, and people thought it was a little creepy looking, a little uncanny, so the internet ran with that and turned it into a problem. They used it to terrorize, and that must really suck for Dusky Sam, because, like, imagine making something that you just do for fun. You just want to make something because you want to make something, as we all do from time to time, and it just gets used in something like this. Like, that's terrible. Like, I honestly feel really bad for them. So I came prepared with all this evidence and research I had done to hopefully calm Philip down and kind of help him. Like, I understood his fears, but I wanted to help with all this. So that's kind of what we did. Like, we got together in the woods. We kind of just hung out, like really chill vibes. And like, I kind of told him all this. Like, I told him everything about that. Like, this whole Jonathan Galindo character is not real. I told him where it came from. And a lot of people just have nothing better to do with their time but troll people online, even if it's something stupid like threats and stuff like that, which a lot of the time it is, unfortunately. So I went on this whole tangent, basically. And I was able to sort of convince him that nothing bad was going to happen to him. This was just someone trying to scare people, and if something really did happen, like, we could report the account right away, which we did, and we reported it to Discord. You know, just the normal steps you take. And if something did happen, you can't find him exactly, and like, you can still call the police if someone sketchy comes near you in any way related to this. I was able to calm his nerves a little bit, and the next part of the story is actually not something I recommend you do, because technically this would fall under cyberbullying, so don't do this, but we did it because we thought it was justified. So yeah, just quickly, do not dox people, do not rip people's IPs, don't do anything like that. Do not be a dick in that sense. It is not cool. It doesn't make you a cool hacker. It just makes you a dick, frankly. But in this scenario, we decided that anybody who was going to dish out death threats and stuff like that could deal with what we were about to do, because in a sense it is kind of just an innocent prank. What we ended up doing is we ended up getting a hold of our other friend who, we'll call him, for the sake of this video, we'll call him Xavier, I guess. That, I don't know why that's the first thing that came to mind. That's what we'll call him, I guess. So he was good with the whole, like, I don't want to say doxing, but like pretty much just that. Like, he knew how to do it. He didn't do it, but he knew how to. So we went to him with that information hopefully being shared with us. So long story short, we ended up finding a way to get this Jonathan Galindo bot, whoever was running this account. We ended up getting their IP, and we sent like 40 Hawaiian pizzas to their house, just because we thought it was funny. And again, that does technically fall under doxing, cyberbullying. Don't do any of that. Is that a lot more of an innocent prank than it is to like send death threats to someone? Yes, absolutely. But it's still ripping someone's address and financially burdening them. So don't do that. It's just what we thought of in the moment and kind of adds to the story, so I thought I'd add it here. And now the story does kind of have a sort of a happy ending. Philip ended up making like a whole presentation about this whole, like, you know, all these bots and everything. This whole like challenge, like pandemic almost, if you want to call it that. And he actually got to show it in front of our school. I think I was sick the day he did it, because of course I was, but he did get to show it in front of the school because the school deemed it to be really important to make our ages aware of. But yeah, guys, that pretty much wraps up the story. This is like a serious story, and I hope you enjoyed listening to it. But the moral of the story is, yes, these bots exist. Yes, they may come after you sometimes, but no one can hurt you. Like, they're trying to scare you. Don't let them. And I know it's tempting to like troll them or something, or try and get involved. I know I've done that myself. Don't do that. If one contacts you, just block it immediately. Don't even say anything. It's not worth it. Just block it immediately. Delete it out of your life. And that's the best way to go about it. But yeah, guys, that pretty much wraps it up. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you were able to learn something from this story. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're new. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Later.